people are going to say what they want.
Jason, what's been your experience? Have you worked on other gay-focused films in the past?
I don't know if I'd call it gay focused. Richard and I also have a documentary about a photographer who made a charity for AIDS project and we're getting that. But yeah, I mean, that's besides those projects. Really.
Has there been any assumption, first of all, that you were gay?
All the time.
The haircut.
That's right.
And so, what's that like? Have you felt a need or desire to come out of that particular closet?
No, it's not been a problem for me either way. I mean, I have gay people in my family, lost gay friends. It's never been a problem for me to be people to think that I'm gay, and I was in the theater for a long time, so and I like musicals. I'm not gay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Last night we were at the party at Paris, and I was talking to someone. I said, "Is Jason straight?" And he was standing behind Jason. He goes,
Wishful thinking.
well.
Take it as a compliment. What about the rest of y'all? Working on other projects, have you been open about your sexual orientation? What's that experience been like?
In the past, I don't like to bring my sexuality to the workplace. I don't think that's relevant. I mean, unless I don't hide it. But I mean, even on a gay film, I'm openly gay, but I don't feel I have to talk about it on set. So.
Yeah, I'm the same school of thought. You know, it's not something that you, you know, it's something that you shout or scream out there necessarily, or you know, because Hollywood obviously is a very welcoming place for gay and lesbian filmmakers. But at the same time, you know, my agent, when I told my script, when I came out to him as a lesbian, was a little kind of like, oh, that's, you know. So it's still out there. There is some discrimination, and I think that if I told him that my next script was going to be not a straight romantic comedy, but a gay one, he'd probably be like, why don't you put that on the back burner and work on these other things? Because that's still not the, you know, the first movie that the studios are going to look to make, unfortunately. But thankfully there are more outlets now. There's Here and Logo, and those stories still do connect. Brokeback Mountain, and you know, they are getting made, and they're showing that they have an audience, so, beyond just our community.
So before we move on to Lauren, because I would like Lauren to answer that as well, just going a little bit deeper with that, what if your agent said that to you, if you wanted to do, you know, a gay romantic comedy?
Yeah, even with this project, you know, this documentary has been a 3-year passion project for me. You know, my co-director and I financed this out of our own pockets. It was done independently, and he's been very dismayed about the time and energy invested in it. You know, he wanted me to be, you know, writing more straight romantic comedies, and this was incredibly important to me. This is something that I had to see through. So, yeah, but if he said, don't do that, I just fire him.
Okay, Lauren, your experience.
With being openly like about my sexual orientation.
Or have you been on projects?
Well, it never really comes up. You know, when you're working on films, it's like it's very private, so you don't really mention, you know, your sexuality. I don't know when it would come up in a situation.
Perhaps in conversation, you know, when people talk about my boyfriend, my girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I'm very open
husband,
about
wife,
that.
partner.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, it's I live in New York, so it's not, you know,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But I mean, it's different everywhere. So I don't think it should ever be a big deal. I mean, you should just be free with your sexuality, with what, you know, whoever you are. So.
Okay. Shifting a little away from the personal, has there been any transition since the early 90s when we were looking at films like Poison and Go Fish and such?
Yeah, I was just talking to Rich about that earlier. I feel like the main difference in films in queer cinema now, like back then, it was all those Poison and Swoon and Go Fish. They're all very experimental. They're all very avant-garde. They kind of fit into that category of, you know, independent, different, like, experimental narratives. And I feel now with the stories that we're telling, especially Rich's film, like they're very straight narratives that are about like real human experiences that don't have to be different like they don't have to be like very very different artsy. They're more just straight narratives about real human interactions that are like any other straight narratives that you see now. So, which I think Logo and Here has helped. Those networks have really shown that you can have sitcoms like that are out there and they're important to see. And it's just any other sitcom, like Friends or anything.
I think also something that's starting to change things. I think some of the gay films are being pulled into the mainstream, basically, bouncing off of what Lauren's saying. I think also the media is playing a part in having things change and the perceptions change. Like even MTV has a huge amount of whatever reality show they do. I mean, the programming might not be so great, but there's still, like, kids today have a much different understanding about who else is out there than I think happened ever before. And it's pretty amazing to me to see just how much more accepted things are becoming. And I think that's starting to make its way into the films as well.
Where do you see the future of queer cinema? Does it remain a category of its own? Does it become increasingly mainstream? Where do you think it's going? Is it going?
It's definitely going up. Here.
Yeah, you're on a roll.
No, I think we're in a period of change right now. I think we're starting to see a celebration of being gay, and like you said, straight narrative stories, just about people. I think we've seen so many straight romantic comedies that are kind of the same story rehashed, and we haven't seen a lot of gay stories. And I think that's going to be interesting at some point. And look at Brokeback Mountain. That surprised everybody. And it's just a love story. So.
Why do you think it did so well?
Because they had two hot guys. Let's call it out, I mean, for real, it was a beautifully done, epic love story with two famous, hot actors, straight actors, and there's a little bit of a titillation factor in there, I think. But plus, it was good storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, not to slam the movie at all. Great movie, but.
Do you think if it had had two unknown hot straight actors or two hot gay actors, that it would have done
I think
as well?
it would. No, I don't.
No? Say more about
Personally,
that.
I mean, I think that's sad, but I don't think it would have. We have some great gay films with non-famous actors that don't get that kind of recognition. Ang Lee's first movie, what was it, The Wedding Banquet?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Beautiful movie, but how many people really know
I've
that?
seen it.
Every gay person knows it, but I mean, that's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of movies just like that. So.
But is there a difference in, obviously a movie that had, let's say, I don't know, Born Identity, that had an unknown versus Matt Damon in it, it would probably not do as well.
Maybe not as well, but people love action. Action's a big genre. It's like horror. You can sell a horror movie worldwide, and you don't need stars in it, because people want what they want. You
Right.
want the gore, you want the monster, you want action. But I mean, that's a big market. The gay niche isn't that big, so you have to find a way to draw straight audiences into that. And I think Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger was the perfect.
Yeah, it's just it is an unfortunate reality that, to echo your point that, those guys are both straight, so I think it's easier for people the mainstream to watch that and go, well, they're actors. They're not really gay. I mean, it is hard, there aren't too many openly gay and lesbian actors who are leading men and women. It's just the reality. And I think that may change eventually, but for the time being, I think it's still hard for people to...
And you know what else? They don't end up together.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a tragic
it is a
love
tragic
story.
Yeah.
And if they ended up together, I wonder how that would have worked out.
Yeah.
I would have ended it different.
You would have cast yourself.
With Jake or with never mind.
Both.